Let's examine to the front and move on.
That's spicy. Penta viruses.
Who's honest? Shumi. His uncle is Shalom, honest? No,
Shabbos we spoke about. An interesting chapter in Jewish history, which is in 1843, the Russian Tsar, with perhaps the encouragement of the Maskilim, put out an edict against the Jews that they have to change their clothing. Spoke about Shabbos, Barichus, the Mokim Shomro Laharich and Ashalakatza, Lakatza and Ashalahadich. It was a joke. The Jews used to wear long jackets. They were obligated to make it short. They used to wear short pants with socks. They were obligated to wear long pants. We're not allowed to have payas and a beard, the way the Eden used to have payas and a beard.
Not just clothing, but even facial clothing. Huh?
Mm-hmm. It was enforced with extreme brutality.
Wow.
And throughout history, they killed people without beards.
We're focusing on one thing today. Let's focus on one thing. So that was, and we spoke about the Shabbos. It was a big machloikis of poskim at the time. Jews are obligated.
Just in Russia.
Most of the Jews lived at that time under the Tsar's rule. Lithuania, Poland, that country that people call today Ukraine. All those countries were under the Russian Tsar at that time. So you say literally, Rov Minyan and Binyan of Bnei Yisrael were affected by these laws. And I mentioned Shabbos. That if you look at pictures of Rebbe She'eniklach, the Mittler Rebbe, these guys they ran Chevron. These guys they were the descendants of the Mittler Rebbe were every fourth person or fifth person in Chevron at one point was descendant of the Mittler Rebbe. They and there's pictures of those families, and they all not all, some of them became modern, but the ones that look Heimish, they're wearing a shteimel, they're wearing payas, the socks. What happened? So that was really an old Jewish lavush. They went up to. I never got a chance of Shabbos to explain this point. They went to Israel in the late 1700s. So
Was part of the Gra and part of the.
they went in a later group. This was a later group, much later. The Mittler Rebbe, his daughter, went to moved to Hebron. If you were ever in Hebron, they show her bed where she slept in Beis Hadassah.
I did that whole story. I never saw that.
No, so next time you're there.
This is the Mittler's Rebbe's daughter,
Mhm.
Hebron, with
Mm-hmm.
and then they stayed.
I show you. Very prominent family. Till today. Very, very prominent family.
So Chabad had a presence in the Hebron.
Oh, very strong presence. Very, very strong presence. There's a woman, last year, she's a wonderful member of the Knesset on the right wing side of the Palative. And so last year, I was reading, she gave a whole talk in the Knesset, and she said her hero is Rebbe Menucha Rochel.
Yeah.
There was
What's her name?
She was
a
nice
member of Knesset.
Yeah. I think on the Likud ticket.
Right.
Every tour to take you to Hebron,
So she was a very powerful person. Her children, a lot of them are still today from families.
Why did they move to Hebron? What did you do?
the holy city.
Because it's a holy city, and
Besides that, and there has to be an RIshon.
I don't know all the details, but I do know
a good podiatrist, like
she had a special bracha from the Tzemach Tzedek, which was to go to Eretz Yisrael with her family, and that's what she did. And so back to what I was saying is that you see in the pictures that because they moved to Israel before the Gzeres and Malbushim. And the Chayyim writes that there was in Vilna Tov Phnom base, which is 1790, so 92, whatever. That there was the government was contemplating that the Jews have to change their malbushim, and that the Gro told his people that this is an edict that Yehorid Val Yaber, that you have to stand against it, even if you get killed. Wow. Now, I spoke about the history about it. Basically, two people that were very much involved in this is the Tzemach Tzedek and the Chidush Edim. The Tzemach Tzedek felt that it's a fight not worth fighting, and that it's permissible for the Jews to change their clothing. And the Chidush Edim felt that it was Yehorid Val Yaber, the Yidden should let their blood be spilled and not to change their clothing. So Russian Jews all over the Russian Empire who were very influenced by the Pesukim of the Tzemach Tzedek and many of the Rabbonim that were. That's why Lubavitchers don't wear the white socks and the Streimel and these things, because it was that time they had no choice. They changed. Apparently, according to the law, you had a choice. The Jews could check off. Check one was you have the Russian look, and check two was the German look. What was the difference if you want to look like a German or you want to look like a Russian? Yeah. The Russian peasant had a beard, and the German was shaving. So you had a choice, A or B. You want the Russian look, or you want the German look.
You gotta have a short beard. The Russian look.
I don't know. I'm not such a. So the Fruma Yidden in Russia, it's Tzedek told them that they should check off the Russian look, and therefore they didn't wear any more payas, which is the payas that had like a pronounced payas. They kept their beards because they could check the Russian look, so that wasn't a problem. And they put on regular pants and regular shirts and regular jackets, and on Shabbos they wore longer jackets because it wasn't so noticeable to the government. You were in the winter, you're going with a coat anyway, so it wasn't so. And the hats also, the Russian Jews, a lot of them put on casquette, but they did a trick. They didn't put on a casquette like this. They put on a casquette looking like a sailor's casquette. It's a little different than the regular casquette. So they still had, and the government couldn't say anything. The difference was negligible, and it wasn't something the government could do anything about.
They made a Jewish casquette.
They made a Jewish casquette. They made this a Jewish casquette. It hardly existed. Yeah. That's why Chabad doesn't wear these malbushim, because going back to the time when it came to America, the gangsters wore a nice hat. They figured they'd pick it up. Okay.
Even Power did like them time to dress. I hope this guy died a grisly death.
Not him, but definitely his family did at the end.
So after they all left Russia, why didn't they revert to the old thing?
It was 100 years later. Who was not.
You're in America.
The 100 years, 120 years later. 18. We're talking about this. Gezeda started at 1843. We're almost 160, 170 years away from it. Okay, let's read Shulchan Aruch.
It's funny. A lot of pictures from the 48, 45, when Jews came from all over, we see them with caskets. A lot of them. A lot of pictures. They brought it to Israel.
People don't realize there was a Jewish casket. The Jews, the casket that they wore had a slightly different look than the typical casket. Okay.
What country was it there in? Russia?
The Russian Empire at that time was Russia and Ukraine and Lithuania and Poland. And a few million Jews.
Two countries.
Okay, let's read quickly. Because the pasuk says in last week's parsha, he shouldn't make the hair, the side of his head, the way style of haircut they do. There was a style that still some Yeshivim do today, that they have like the hair like in the middle, they shave in the side, and you have
Skinhead. And they
not skin, but they have here in the middle,
They
like
did it then too.
yeah,
They did it then too.
yeah, mohawk, yeah. Thank
Oh my gosh. Is that what the Mohawk in there?
yeah. ולא ילך מצדו מניח שר באמצע, ולא ילך שר מכנגד פרנב מייסר.
It's also not, and so these are just examples, right?
These are examples that the Mishnah gives.
You shouldn't do.
V'yaniach pera, that they would shave their head and just leave a big ponytail. V'lo yivne mekaymes kebinyan heicholo shel avodas kachom kedei shkonsu v'mram k'mei shemayis. Elo, says the Rama, Elo yamuvdel behem mevavushav u'b'shar ma'isa. That a Jew has to be different than the nations of the world. Like I said, the story on Shabbos, one of the Chassidish Rebbes, the Maskilim, asked him, "Do you think Avram Avinu walked with a shtraimel and weiße zukin?" So he said, "Look, I can't tell you. I wasn't there. I have no picture. But I'm sure that Avram Avinu walked out in the street and he looked how the goyim dressed, and he decided to dress different." Okay.
In the Ramesh, he says he went one way, Lot went the other way. That's
Exactly. Elia moved over Malbush, Sharmaitza, Vedas to be different. Now that Amo is saying his opinion from the Ran, that this whole issue is only if the goyim are doing something because it's pritzutz. The goyim shenog lilbush malbushim adumim. Their begodim are red, and red is like pritzutz. V'hu malbush sorim akadayim malbushim apritzutz. And the sorim wear it, and it's an Indian of pritzutz. Bedover shenogu laminig velochik ve'ein tam bedover, or it's a chukah, which literally chukah fakakti, that it's something that the goyim do, but it doesn't make sense. Because it doesn't make sense. That the source of it is something of avodah zarah. Because why are they doing it? It doesn't make sense. The same. But something that the goyim do, it makes sense. They have a thing that the doctor wears a white coat. That makes sense. It makes sense because it should be nicker. Who's the doctor? You come into the room, there's a few people there. How do you know who's the doctor? And the doctor is a special, also gives the doctor a certain achrayas. He knows that he's the doctor. It makes sense. So therefore, it's mutter. Or there's a certain baggage that they give for choshev people, not as pritzes, but as a kovid. Okay, that's fine. A tamacher, that's mutter. It's marik. Therefore, they said that there used to be a minig that when the king dies, that they burn his clothing, they burn his kalim. So the Gemara says it's not dark moed because it makes sense. It's cheshivut. So the Gemara says it's covered for the melech. If you look for a second, the Beard Agrom in Sitkot and Zion, he says on the Ramah, he says this opinion of the Ramah holds that means you're not allowed to do something which makes no sense, like choik, right? Choik means things that don't make sense. If a guy does things that don't make sense, probably it's avodah zarah. So therefore, you're not allowed to do it. Melech she'ein tam ladavar. V'Ramban kosa vada she'esh tam lahem, ela she'ein tam anigla. U'megzeres hamelech she'yoch b'malchus b'li she'ya gala te'eles lahem. And the Ramban Taka says the chuk doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense. B'chlal, it means the king doesn't want to tell people the reason. The Torah doesn't want to tell people the reason for these halachas. Kolan in the Shivi b'saperik vav the Shabbos, saperik vav te'sefte, u'meshkosa b'gemar sham bishla toina ba'avonim. ושם חבדלת שיש בהם משום רפואה, וכן שעושים, משקוסו בתסתפת, שמעים על תפסק בינינו פנטיפסקה, וסן יש משום דאר כמיינו, ומפני כובד מוטה, ואף בשמיים מנגיל בהם, אף כמוטה, מעריק. The Marik, וכן כוסו ורן. That bottom line is that Ran and the Marik both hold that that what does it mean b'chukei seyem loite leichu? You could say two ways. Choik could mean the mahalach, the way they do it, or choik means choik b'litam. Anything the goyim are doing, and there's no reason for it. It makes no sense. Why are they doing it? So you have to suspect that they're doing it because many generations earlier, it was something lavodah zarah. But if there is, it makes sense that they say a doctor should wear a white jacket. Hotaklep, a nurse should wear green scrubs. Hotaklep. So that you're allowed to do. And then in the end, he goes a whole pilpul. He says it's not mashma in the Gemara that way, because we're going to learn in a second the Gemara. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin that you're only allowed to do things that the goyim do if the Torah says it. So if the Torah says it, you're allowed to do it. So he slugs up the Marik and the Ran. He doesn't hold of this Ramah. Basically, the Gro is Machmir. He doesn't hold of this Ramah. He's all anything going doing, you're not allowed to do. Look at a few lines later. Aval divrei haran temuyim oid v'chein divrei harav. The next word is likud in brackets.
Where's it?
You see many lines later. There is a brackets. It says likud.
Yeah.
Right before that, a few words. Aval divrei haran temuyim oid v'chein divrei harav likud in brackets. It says likud. You see?
Yeah. What letter is there?
This is all within Zion. It's a very long piece. The Gemara usually is short.
I got it.
And there's a bracket that says likud, and right before that, Aval divrei haran temuyim oid v'chein divrei harav. He says whatever the Ran, the Marik, the Ran, the Ramah doesn't make sense.
I don't know why we go after.
Oh, that's why we're sitting here. Some said it was Mekel. Some said it holds Shalach is like the Marik and like the Ran. He has other kulas and other chidushim, and that's why we're looking at the sugya. Turn the page.
We're not really based.
Huh?
Based.
No. Let's turn the page. Zog the Mishnah mitzvahs hanerogim. How would they kill the people that were chayiv hariga? They would chop their head off with a sword, the way the government does. It's not, the commission doesn't describe exactly how the government used to, the guillotines. How did it look in the time of the Mishnah? That it's not nice to do it. It's a misa menovelas. Rashi says because at this point it's the Yehuda thought that they meant the person is standing, and the goof stays up and his head goes flying. So he thought that was not good.
How did you get from Lavush to this?
Wait a minute. They have a big wood attached to the floor. They put his head on the top of the wood, and they take a koifetz. They take a axe, which you chop wood, and they chop off his head. Chacham said to Rabbi Yehuda, "Ein misa menuvelas mezu." This is like the most gruesome type of misa. How could you say that that's what the Torah meant? Tanya Omer Lahen Rabbi Yehuda Chachamim. Afani Yodei Shemisa menuvelasi. I know that it's not a nice way of killing someone.
A guillotine.
Yeah, exactly. But what does a guillotine mean? Okay, we had those.
Yeah.
In
the French
exactly. That's in our minds. That's what guillotines are. It's not clear. But what Rabbi Yehuda said, whatever Chacham says, not that clear. But Rabbi Yehuda said they should have a piece of wood knocked into the ground. They should have his head bent over the piece of wood. They should take an axe and chop it off.
It's the same Indian of a guillotine, but not with the blade.
Yeah.
Right.
So and his head goes flying. So Chacham said, "What are you talking about? That's a misa menuvelos. That's a terrible, like an ugly misa." So Tanya Omer Lahen Chacham Rabbi Yehuda said to Chachamim, "Happening today, I know shemisa menuvelasi, that this is not a nice way of killing someone. It's a repugnant way of killing someone. It's manuvel. What should I do? The Torah said, you're not allowed to go in the ways of the goyim. So whatever, if the goyim kill people in a certain way, you have to do it a different way. So you got to figure out something differently. The Rabbanan said, the Torah says to kill with the sword. We didn't learn from the goyim. If you're not going to tell me that we're right, that Rabbanan said, but the Tanya, we learned the Braisa sword from Malachim. So when a melech dies, you burn his begodim. And it's not from Dakia Moiri. How could you do it? It says in the pasuk, you shouldn't go in the ways of the goyim, and that's what the goyim do. It used to be the derech of the Moiri to do that. Because the Torah says that you should burn the clothing of a melech. As it says in the pasuk, so we didn't learn it from them. Also here, when it comes to execution, Given the ksiv sai beiraisa lav v'nayu gamrinan. It says the Torah to kill someone through a sword. So we're not learning it from them. So what are you telling me? We have to do it slightly different than the goyim. If the goyim are doing like this, you got to do like that. What's the difference? What the goyim do? The Torah says that there is a certain avedas that the punishment is to execute the person with a sayiv. You do it. What's the difference how the goyim do it? Let's learn the Tosis. There's a Tosis, a very important Tosis here. Elo kiven. You see the Tosis Elo kiven?
Yeah.
Elo kiven the ksiv sereifa. It's the first line of the small lines. You want a book to have right away? It's the first of the small lines. Yeah, Elo kiven the ksiv sereifa. Time as the Tosis. I don't understand. The mashma hachad afgav the chukahi kiven the ksiv beiraisa shari. Even though it's the goyim do it, but because the Torah says it's mutter. The pay the kamad avodah zara. Take. Pay the damad avodah zara. I have it says a kasha. And when the second page. Pay the kamad avodah zara. Parich v'sreif v'chuki v'ksiv v'chesem l'tedechel. U'masik lav chuki. And the Gemara says over there, we'll look at that Gemara, that burning for the malachim is not a chukah. Shlema, the hosam kamar lav chuki l'shem avitzkechavim. He have a chukah lavitzkechavim. I feel like Ksiv Beiraisa lo have a mahani. Aval hocha airi b'choy klavetz kechavim shaloi l'shem avetz kechavim do midasayev the given the Ksiv Beiraisa lav minayim gavrinu b'shori. Tosis asks that what's going on? The Gemara says that that when they burned the begodim for a melech, it's a cheshilus. So why do we need that the Torah should tell us? The fact that it's not a chukas hagoyim. It makes sense. They're doing it for a rational reason. Why
burn the clothes of a king?
The Gemara says, we'll learn in a second, that they did it. The reason they would do it is no one's worthy to ever wear these begodim. No one's worthy to wear it, therefore they'd burn it.
It's like retiring a jersey on that New York Mets. Whatever.
Yeah. So therefore, Tosfos says that there's two levels of chukah. One is chukah is that it's for avodah zarah, and then you're never allowed to do it. And then there's another chukah that's not for avodah zarah, but because the goyim do it, we're not allowed to do it unless the Torah told us to do it. So when it comes to burning for malachim, the Torah said that you're allowed to do it, or it comes to using a saif, the Torah, therefore we're allowed to do it. Turn the page. Basically, this Gemara is what the Gro has against the Marik and the Ran. From this Gemara, from this Tosfos, it sounds that even if it's something that the Goyim are doing and it makes sense, it's rational, they respect the king and they want to show that his begodim are not worthy for anyone to wear. No, you're not allowed to do it unless the Torah tells you to do it. But if the Torah didn't tell you to do it, it would be also to do. And this is the question that the Gro has against the Ran, and that's why he paskins against the Ran. So that's what we'll look at the other Gemara, and then we'll look at the Tzemach Tzedek, what the Tzemach Tzedek comes to answer the shit of the Ran.
The Ran or the Gro?
The Gro slugs up the Ran. The Ran is Mekel. The Ran says, and the Marik and the Ramah, all three, not the Gro.
Right.
They say that if the Goyim are doing something that makes sense,
You're allowed to do it.
you're allowed to do it. But from here, from the Tosfos, it's mashma, even if it makes sense, you also need that the Torah told you to do it. The fact that it just makes sense, that's not good enough.
So he's saying that you cannot burn the clothes of a king.
Even if it makes sense, just the reason we're allowed to, the Torah says it. Is because the Torah says it. Yeah, it does. There's a pasuk that says to one of the kings, that when he's going to die, he's going to have the respect that everyone is going to give him respect. Let's look at the next
Who
page.
says you're not allowed to do it, the Gra?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the pasuk says that you don't.
The pasuk says that you burn the begodim of a king.
You do burn.
You do.
And the Gra says you can't do it because the Gra.
Wait a minute.
Which king is it by the way?
I don't know. Zok the Gemara. Look in the fat lines, 5 lines from the top. 6 lines from the top. Mechlal de Rabbanon. Mechlal de Rabbanon Sabri. Sereif Kukahi. The Rabbanon hold that burning the clothes of a melech is chukah.
There's no reason.
There's no reason. It's a chukah segoyim. Chukah same like teleichu. Oh, Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, sorry for my malachim. Learned that in Mori. They allowed to burn for the malachim, and it's not considered dark emori. If it's one of the chukas agoyim, and then how could we do such a thing? Look, see if it says in the pasuk, you're not allowed to go in the chukas agoyim. So the Gemara answers, everyone agrees that seifa, that's not a chukah. Elo chashivusahi. It's chashivus to the king. They're giving chashivus. Rashi says, Misha Sefer Lamarim Shemisos Chashuva Chashiva Lehem Amisa Shesorfala. It's nothing to do with Avodah Zarah. He's a chashuva person. Okay. Now there's a Toisus, but I want to skip the Toisus because time is short. Now, and so Tzedek is already going to quote. So turn to the next page, the Tshuva that Tzemach Tzedek. The Tshuva that Tzemach Tzedek, there's two Tshuvas. This is the second one of the Tshuva. The Tshuva that Tzemach Tzedek, you're going to see he doesn't ask the question and he doesn't give an answer. Why, if it's such a thing that's so important to Klal Yisrael, why doesn't the tshuva start with a question, finish with an answer? In my opinion, that Tzemach Tzedek was under unbelievable scrutiny from the government. That winter, he was arrested 22 times because they were angry at him because he went with Rabbi Yitzchak Volozhina to Petersburg. They tried to, get him that he would agree that they should stop all the chadorim. The Russian government will learn, or they'll control the chulu. And he stood by Mesidus Nefesh, and they knew if he's not going to agree to, the Jews will stand Mesidus Nefesh. So here, yeah.
So you're talking about this particular edict about the clothing.
Yeah. So when the edict came out, Tzemach Tzedek sent out a tshuva to Yidden to say that I don't think you should, don't fight it. Just change your clothing. Not worth it. But he was very nervous about writing in Lanius Daiti, writing Nishel Nishalti. Harishoyim Harurim Hagerurim came Roitzin Lasas Gezeda ala Yehud. And then he would have trouble with no end. So he starts at Tshuva Gasina, the Gemara Sanhedrin, the censor, he sent this tshuva out, but the censorship, starts reading, and it's Gebutzinem beGemara, Chulu v'Chulu beGemara, Omru Marik Omar.
I don't think they have censors that understand.
Oh, they had censors who mishumadim, Jews that shmadzich, but some of those were not such big lomdim.
Right.
They were big amaratzim also.
Right.
They were massive amaratzim. So if he's not going to send, this is my opinion. I'm wrong. If he sent out a tshuva saying, "I was asked, should you?" and then all of a sudden there would be the censor would lie to the government. They would translate it and add a few words and subtract a few words, and that Tzemach Tzedek would have hot water on him more. So he was smart. He sent out a tshuva katzina b'gemara Sanhedrin. He doesn't write the question. He doesn't write the answer. Any rabbi worth his salt that reads the tshuva knows exactly what the question and the answer is. Right away, you understand. But that's my opinion. That's why he doesn't stuck it funny. It's like a question. It's a tshuva that doesn't have a question, doesn't have an answer. It starts off and
Where is it?
It's here, page Ayin Ches Siman Tzadik Aleph. 18 years ago, when I came to Beis Menachem Mendel, it was a year there, and I gave a shiur. It was a tshuva Tzemach Tzedek, and Tzemach Tzedek writes something that when we say goyim, we're not talking about the goyim that live today in Russia, which are big tzaddik. So I said, you understand, Tzemach Tzedek probably never wrote that line, and if he wrote it, you can delete, and the person got so angry at me. How could you say a tzaddik, a Tzemach Tzedek would write something that's a lie? Someone that doesn't know history could ask such a question. You know what I mean? Tzemach Tzedek wrote this tshuva, and I think it's very clear that he didn't want to write the question and the answer clearly. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Daf Nun Beis Amud Beis, Kederech, the Gemara, Shre'omre Teure, V'Rabbanan Kiven Eksiv, Kotzav HaToyses, the Maschal Elo, V'yesh Lemed, Osam K'omer, Avalach. You see, when a censor is going to start reading this, he's already going to give up about this truth. You got to look up the Gemara, you got to look up the Tosfos. He's already going to Aval Hocho Bepeda Kama the Avodah Zarah. Look in the Tosfos. Vi Verichu Bazah Yotzem Edivrein. What comes out from these two sugyas from Toysa, even the Gemara says that burning the begodim of a king is not a chukah, but it's giving chashivas to the king. Then no one's worthy to wear his begodim. It makes sense. Like the white jacket of the doctor. I feel Tosfos holds that still is considered to chukasem loytelech. Ratam the shari. The reason it's permissible Mishum the ksiva beiraisa, because the Torah says of a mitzvah that the Eibush said to one of the kings that you'll have the chashivas that they'll burn your begodim. Nishram devareim the gam davar shu mishum chashivus, even something that's done because of a rational reason that it's chashivus to the king. Nikre chukesem rak sheina chok laved zara, only that it's not chok laved zara. Valderach zo in mitzvah b'sayv kederach sho yosim gam kem nikre b'chukesem. The reason the goyim kill in a certain way, there's a reason for it. Whatever, it's the easiest, it's whatever, it's most efficient, or maybe it's gruesome, so people like it. Whatever, they don't do it because some avodah zarah. When the French guillotines had nothing to do with avodah zarah. Yeah, it was efficient. Also, there was a little amoid of a fachad. Whatever it's not darkei amoidi. Still, the Tosfos holds that it has to be that the Torah says saif. The Torah says b'misra savavisecha. But the Ran disagrees with that. The Ran shitas Ran b'chidusha b'sanedin kam v'zel l'shoyim v'rabonon kivin the ksiv saif v'eraisa yishlem hashatam v'zel l'fi shaTorah kodma lahem. Veini maspik b'chol advarim gam ke yishlom shel kodma latam nochen shaTorah also kol minhag miyuchad l'nimutze goyim shem yemosh chodam achrim kamoyzim. The Torah said that we don't want the Yid to do the things of the Goyim because they don't want the Yid to become similar to the Goy. If the Goyim are doing something that scientifically has no proof that it works, so we say that's darkei amoidik. The Gemara says that if a person there's a way to help a tree by putting rocks around it. So the Gemara says that's fine because that makes sense. Whatever that the rocks makes the tree grow straight. But then they also had a thing that they would take paint and they would paint the tree. And the Gemara says, sorry, that's called chukas hagoyim because it's never. So that answers why. Because rocks, it's a rational thing. You put up a pile of rocks and then the tree will grow straight. But take a paintbrush and put some red paint or purple paint on the tree. It doesn't make sense. So that's chukas hagoyim. Harin is bosh atalmud loyo tama lama toine the David TV. That's a David TV that it's makrish the ilon. Hello, circle besikra lama koloma shzayin yom medarke amoyri she'ein loy mavui bedarke hateva. That it doesn't make sense bedarke hateva why painting a tree with a color would help or destroy the tree. Velonis amasan isoyin, and there was never testing that proved that this would make a difference. Metaritz, Tomatomi Yakori, whatever. I'm bechidush Raj besof perik dala dechulin beShabbos sof perik meisha. Chinkos of Aran, similar to that, the Ran wrote also perik hamad avodah zorah gabesof from Namalachim alam medarkemoyin elim medarkemoyin lochush. Lo itasik kemasein lo v'shalos artoy la'chuka shel goyim udvarim shel hevel ubatola v'kulam yesh lo misrach avodah zorah. But dvarim shel tam, something that the goyim do and it makes sense. Shori v'beseref alamachim tami ike lister v'lechvoidim klita shmishim loymar she'ein odem acher ro osri lishtamash b'mash lishtamash boy who that they burn the begodim to say that no one's worthy to wear the begodim like that melech was worthy.
That makes sense.
L'chayre koshal aran minolan lahat dvorim shaltam amrinim besaned in the dafka mishum de ksiva beiraisa mashmal abachos af b'shesh batam kush v'zu hiksha grob yeredes emikofayin chesed cotton v'avalaran.
Why is it a question on the rock?
It's because they don't. Because the Tosfos says, you see, because the Tosfos says that we see that even the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says that burning for the malachim is chashivus. So why do we need a pasuk to tell you're allowed to do it? Is mashma that you need to have two milas. Has to be that it makes sense. Plus, the pasuk tells you you're allowed to do it. But if you didn't have a pasuk, then so that's the kasha that the girl has against the ram. That's why he paskins against the
Oh,
ram.
the pasuk is good enough. The pasuk says you can do it. It
But
doesn't have to make sense.
from the Toysvis, it's mashma that you need to have two things because the Toysvis really put together two gemaras. It's mashma from the gemara that way. One gemara says you're allowed to burn the clothing of the melech because it makes sense. It's chashivas. The other gemara says because the pasuk says of a misra. So really, what
basing on
the shittas of Toysvis,
you have to have
two things. Tartil amal usage.
So the pasuk wouldn't be enough.
Yeah, that's what Toysvis says. Now, if you asked me, I would have said it's a machlokes between the sugis. But the Tzemach Tzedek says also that. Basically, that's what Tzemach Tzedek, one of his answers is. He says it's really a machlokes between the sugyas, but in one detail. The you could argue how choshev it is to burn the begodim. Like someone just asked before. That choshev, you take his begodim, burn it.
Why do you bury it?
Yeah. You put it away. Don't let anyone use it.
Right.
No, if you scared somebody's easy, just bury it.
Bury it.
Yeah, what's the reason for
What's-
burning? Burning sounds negative. That's
They're
opposite.
saying that the Rishon L'Tzion, someone's dressing up like Rishon L'Tzion, and he's freaking people out.
He's putting on the begodim of the Rishon LeZion, walking around.
He looks like.
Oh, I saw that. That's unbelievable.
I mean, if
Goes
someone
around.
would get those clothes, they could. In those days, they didn't have that.
Okay.
Like the reason we had
That hat.
and he looks exactly like the chief rabbi of the Sephardic.
Rabbi, you know that
And then
a Moroccan,
Yeah.
Continue.
my brother-in-law is Moroccan. When my
Yeah.
sister passed away, in the Shloshim,
Girl doing
they
it.
have a minhag and take the best dress she had and put it on the camera. Whatever.
They have a lot of funny monogam. There's all those
Watch
things
it,
need
watch
to.
what you do.
Yeah, you got to watch what you do over there. There's
I don't know about
there's a lot of discussions about those
it.
monogams.
So what's the reason talking burning? I think it's negative burning.
Oh, so that's one of the answers someone said is going to give is Takazoi that this little detail was a machlokes between the sugyas. That the sugya in this one of the answers that the sugya in that the sugya in Avodah Zarah held that it's chashivas to burn his begodim, and the other sugya in the Gemara in Sanhedrin Nun Beis said no, it's mishigas. Olamai, because the pasuk says you're allowed to do it. So therefore, the Ran didn't. Tosfos felt it was not a machlokes between the sugyas. So therefore, you needed both milas. It rationally makes sense. Plus, the pasuk tells you, and the Ran says no, it's not true. One of the two is enough. Why do we need by the big demalachim both? Because it was a machlokes between the two sugyas. One sugya felt that it's shivas to go burn his begodim, and the other one said it's a mishagas, and the only reason you're allowed to do it is because the pasuk says so. So that's one of the answers that the Tzemach Tzedek gives to defend the Ran, and he holds that the halacha could be like the Ramah. And now I want to skip, like in the second column, I want to skip a lot of lines. I want to go to right after the answer. You see there's brackets. Sof Pedek HaShoichet, Daf Mem Aleph Amud Beis, there's brackets. V'hine Rambam. V'hine Rambam, it's like 12 lines from the top.
On the other page? On the other top?
With 4 stores.
Sorry, 16. It's 16 lines from the top. In the second column, Daf Ayin Ches. You see where it says Ayin Ches?
Yeah. Okay.
V'hine Rambam. Reish Perek Yudalev Mehilchas Avodah Zarah Ein Choylchem B'Chukas Hagoyim L'Yilvosh Malbich Miyuchav Lahem. You're not allowed to wear begodim of the goyim. The Mishnah says it's in the Teres Kohanim Parshas Achnei Mois and the Sefri Parshas Erei. The Zelashen Sefri Hov B'Yalkid Parshas Erei. And Didre Shaloi Tomer Hol Vein Yoshim Ba'avetiga Afani Yoytz Ba'avtiga Hol Vein Yoytzim Bargomen Afani Yoytz Bargomen Hol Vein Yoytzim B'Kalusin Afani Yoytz B'Kalusin. They go with purple clothing. I'll go with purple clothing. Kamash Malo Akan L'Shayim and Evshim Sham Pirish Min Malbush Choshev. Betargem Bekoven Nefesh Tzedoshe Bekultz Den Chushev Achem Ba'orach Erech Keles Evigam Kem Shinyan Mogen Gam Be'erech Argomen Ebi Shubeget Choshev Zelosh Teres Koinen Parshas Achri Perik Gimel Din Hey B'Chukesem Lo Teleich B'Chema Nircha Kosu Shlo Yomru. Rashi brings this Teres Koinen, which was last week's parsha. V'Lo Kvar Nemer Lo Yimtzach Ba'Ber B'Noi Ubita Be'esh V'Pei V'Chaver Umata Maloimer B'Chukesem Lo Teleich Shlo Teleich B'Nimusa Shel Aroimim. Don't do the things of the Romans. The way the Romans live. You're going patrios, v'karkesos, v'astrios, going to theaters, going to the games. going to bars.
Today everybody goes to games.
Pirish, that's all going to be part of the Shaila. Pirish, a carbon anam, Bishem Orach, Shem Bottom, Mishtoshlam. The fingers, Shaisa Sheikhet, the Yehuda Emel, Darkeman, Shamachon, Chacham, the Yehuda Mesed Emel, Shalot Tan, for the title Titus, Shalot Sapper, Kumi, Sofa, Shalot Emel, Lam Yesh Chukim, Alon and Chukim, Tam Alon, as Mishpot, Tasu, Ves Chukois, Tishmoiri, Lalechas, Bahem, Asay, Ike, Shalot Emel, Lamadati, Chacham, Sisrael. I'm going to go lure and Chacham Sagayim. Tam Alon, Lalach, Mem, and the Alchri. So this way I have the Rambam and the Torah's Koinim, which is the source of the Rambam. The Sefer Yereim Simen Peiches Kotzim Zal Shonim Chukesem Lo Telechu. Pida Shafilam Ave Einen Avedas Elamaisa V'Chukim Shurgala Haroim Emlasas. Even if it's not an Aveda, but this is what the Romans do, and they say when you come to Rome, do like the Romans. That's not true. When you go to Rome, still stay like a Jew. L'shem Torah shall have Zida Torah Aleim. Chachamim Pirushim Amai saying v'chukish urgul lahem lasis l'shem Torah b'pedek v'meishu b'teisef to the Shabbos moina kol ma shahoya kabbalah b'chacham b'sharim v'chukasayim v'elo yisaf leim v'enin elam misvor rag b'kabbalah. And don't add things. Whatever Chacham said is chukas hagoyim, that's chukas hagoyim. That's what the Yereim holds. Huva ba'agos mamoni so perik yudalaf amim asmag Lavin Simen Nun Kotzer Shalolach Sayavonim Vayroimim Lebal Hashem V'Lem Minagnesayim Shisrael moved the Lamin Evikacham V'Malbash Minagu B'Dibur V'Chenkos Hamarshal V'Chenkos V'Chinuch. So the Yereim said that what is the ways of the going? Whatever Chacham said in the Gemara. New things we don't add. But the Smag says whatever the we're going wear, you have to wear differently. Vina betzfanya simen aleph hakol malbushi malbush goyim chrashi pirisham tachshite goyim. Mitzvus David pirish kipshute derech shuvimay leil bash malbush uzar mashunim yasem malbusham. Rabehu v'beradak malbushi nochim connected kolam deragav shleil basham kam malbushem. Amen. Gimel the brachas. It says that there was one of the Amoraim that ripped off a baguette from a woman. He thought she was Jewish, and she was wearing something which was inappropriate. Davalavish is karbalas of the shuka, and he paid 400 zuds. Peter Shirash Levus Choshev Borach Erech Karbal Beget Odom Shein Derech Benois Yisrael discusses Boishu Pritzes. Or maybe Ledvar Aveda Bine Marik in Simon Shimpei Ches hell of a dictic Melosh Rashi V'Sanedin. The Pirish Kegoin Shesh Shad Yehudis Bedover Mashma Afila in Higu Yisrael Malbush Echad V'Hagoyim Malbush Achar. He made a Malbush Yisrael Moira Alayadus Alatznius Yoiser Moisen Shagoyim Noigam Ve Ancient Yisrael Lilbush. That if the Marik says that when is it called a beged goyim if it's pritzus, if there's something negative in it, they're trying to be poruts, but otherwise, if the goyim wear pants, I could also wear pants. Maybe one second, maybe it's mamila. Shalahutza. Turn to the next page, 156. Shalahutza lasaper kumi. V'oid hevi yirayim mechulin gabemayim rishonim hechilu b'sar chazir. Page 156, the top column.
Right side.
Yes. 4 lines from the top. Let me start from the beginning. Page 156, first column. It says that the Gemara says that a Yid came into a restaurant and he didn't wash his hands. So the owner of the restaurant gave him chazir, and then he asked for more. So he said, "You didn't wash your hands. I thought you were a goy. I gave you chazir." So the Marik says, "I don't understand. Where was the yarmulke? Where was the shtraimel? Where was the vaisazuken? Where was the Jewish begodim? If you tell me that a Jew has to be dressed differently, how could he not tell the difference of a Yid and a Goy? How could the person not tell the difference? The Shach slugged him up. The Shach says it was Shasak Zeta, maybe. So maybe, how do you know? Yeah. So washing the Goy wouldn't have. My Mishnah Perek V'Meisha, no, it says Arviyos Noshim Yisrael Shabarv Yotzer Ulas Derech Arviyos Lis Mutafas Rosh Panim Chutz Min Einayim. the burka. The Kollel Veloshin Aravi Ruulos, Vaina Ruulos, Dixiv Besefer Yeshaya. Madonius, Noshim Yisraelis, Shebemodoi, Yoitzes Perufis, Shemotavas Batalas, Vacholod, Mishtav, Vachem Pirish Baruch, Erech Arav. The Rav says, Arvi is Benois Yisrael Shabaravia, Yoitzes Ruulos Mutafas, Gederech Arvius, the Hanin Shei Yisrael, Loifshis, Gederech Arvius. The Jewish woman used to put on a burqa and only the eyes were exposed, just like the Arabs. Says it's a machzedek, mash ein bazeh isur, the bechukasayim loyte leichu. So it says it's a machzedek. Why are they allowed to wear the begodim of the goyim? Ach yesh litches, the shani levush zeh sheminik tzenua, l'chasas paneim shaloi biyabitu alea habachurim. You could slug up and say because it's a minik tnuas, v'aim perek Rabbi Shmuel Lahud also gavra the seifis k'loy mitzah the goyo. Mash mashaloy mishanim belavush. Also yesh litches that the goy is shinem ma'atifosa. Meder shirab mepasha v'yishlot shinem atifosa more than mevdolim belavushayim. Hine matoris koyanim. Huveli
Cult
avad.
in Guatemala that took down
Exactly.
Jewish cult.
Exactly. Leiftor. V'ader Rabbi Yisrael loy l'neser el tateris v'chen shlo l'gadol tzit v'choshe shekol elo minik pritzes. And the Pirish Rashi Belarosa Magadala Avedazora, the Gamma Safir and I are actually to Damal Minimal Bushim Achshuvim, but this time Levushim Gam Chain Miskavan Damas. For Pirish Marik Shane Dvorim Shal Shachas Vegaiva, Vegava Divri Arom and Yesh Laraya. Ava Bedivri Rambam, the Smag Vachinu, Sarach Lidochek. If you learn the Pashtas, the Rambam, the Smag and the Chinuch, it sounds like he has to be dressed different than the guy. But if you learn the Marik, the way he learns Rashi, it's in the Ran, it sounds that no, it sounds like if it's a beged pritzus, if the guy is wearing a certain beged, a certain style to be pritzus, then it's also, or it's something a mishagas that doesn't make sense, then it's also. Hisigalav Azel Shana Gam Divre Marik Enim Nirem Sugre de Sanhedrin. Vakval Nema Buch Gesem, Vasai of time Hike Kanal Vachinsor from Malach of time Isur Kamashkos of Aram, the Philochi Pori Chalavad Akalos, Eladaf Kalilma, Memos of Malbasham Loishim Atkan Lashine. Vaima Shakos of Leil Binya Suge. So he says the gross question I could easily answer like I answered before. I could say another thing, a different answer. The Shani Sayev Shadova Sheira the Prokim Lahamis and Machav Misa. The Kain Lister of Alamalachim. Ye Ze Yeshlik Rechuka, Ava Malbushim, Shakol Adam Uchrech Lis Malbush. In Kaponim Ye Eich Shayir. Ein Shaykh Likreis Echuka. Doch Rechihu, Vala Shaykh Likres Chuka, Rak Gon Blurius. Shadova Shein Tzorech Boy. Vein Boy Hechrech Al Kaponim. So Tzedek wants to say a Chidush, he wants to say the older Rishonim will agree with him. Again, let's summarize. Sorry that it got so long. That the Tzemach Tzedek thinks that there's a machlokes Rishonim. The Rambam, Smag, it sounds like a Yid has to dress different than the Goy. I don't care why that Goy is dressing that way. The Yid has to look different than the Goy. Doesn't matter why. Why is it wearing the pants from Levi Strauss? Because it's a wrong type because Yidden also because the Yidden also wear it. But so the Rambam says the Yid has to look different than the Goy. But from the Rashi, it's mashma that it would only be asur for the Yid to dress the Goy if the Goy is doing it because of pritzus. It's a Tzedek wants to be machadish for a reason that everyone will agree to his chidush. That when are they talking about? They're talking about, for example, a blurius. No one has to have a mohawk in the head. So mishigas to have a thing like this. So then you could ask if that's dark moiri or not. But to wear pants, you got to wear pants. You got to wear pants. Okay. Pants you have to wear anyway. You got to wear pants. Okay. So that's not what we were talking about. That's not when we were saying that lavush. We were talking like an extra lavush, a jacket, a hat, something. It's like an extra thing. But the things that are basic, pants, shirt. That's not shaykh to kol achut. Avlavushim shekol adam muchret lis melubish be'em al kaponim yeh she ein shaykh lekreis achut do khreichu lo shaykh lekreis achut rak blurius kayoy kahagam the shadov shein tzarach be'em behechel v'chen afil liser b'al malachim av bi sheyesh beitam Over there by burning the begodim, you don't must do it. So now you're gonna have a machloikis between Tosfos and the Ran, and even then you could say the halach is like the Ran. But the pants, even Tosfos will be masking. Everyone will agree to me. Al derech zeh, okay, I want to stop at this point because we went. This will be enough because this is really the nakuda and of what Let's just leave it at this. We went a little. So just want to summarize. Some tzedek thinks that there's a machlokas RIshon. I mean, and Taka, the holds that they run and the marik and the way the paskin that Ramah is correct. That what's the machlokas? The machlokas is, does a Jew have to look different than the goy regardless, or a yid only has to look different than the goy if the goy is doing it mishum pritzos. And the Tzemach Tzedek holds that if it's something which is basic, like a pair of pants and a shirt, then we're not talking about that. Then we're not talking about that. You have to wear. So therefore, anyway, the bottom line is that's what so number
How
one.
would the Gra say? What about how would the Gra look at somebody wearing a shirt?
I don't know. He would say he holds that he holds
a Jewish.
Yeah, he holds that the Gra holds that the Ran is wrong. That even if it's something sheish b'tam, even if it's something that makes sense, the yid has to look different than the goy. And he passes against the Ramah. The Ramah says that anything that makes sense. It says the Ran holds that anything that makes sense. So I'll tell you even more.
That's how we got that Gezeira to begin with the job.
So
That sheet.
okay, we'll leave it. We'll leave it at this.
The ones with
About
baseball
this
games.
rabbi that tore the clothes of the woman wasn't sneering. To make her more not sneers when he tore her clothes. If she go with a bra, you can see her bra.
But that's what they go.
That's another.
No, but I don't know why.
What about baseball, football, all those things, those games? Okay, ask Woody Allen. He say, doesn't say he had
Why
to follow the activities also.
The women not snore.
Baseball, basketball.
What is the extra chidush of the Tzemach Tzedek? What the extra chidush?
Jerseys, you mean?
What?
The extra chidush of the Tzemach Tzedek that you were starting to say.
That the year misha year, if a person needs to wear a pair of pants, it's not shaykh to say chukas hagoyim, and not chukas hagoyim. I would say
Even if they're too tight.
That's what it sounds like. Yes.
So
I would say
jeans, all that
all
stuff.
these things like going to a game is not shaykh to ask today. It was shaykh to ask when Yidden came to America 120 years ago. Today it's the minik. It's a minik from Yidden also to go to watch a ball game.
They made it. What do you mean? They made it that way. They followed.
You could ask. You could ask him 50 years ago. Today is the minik Yisrael to go to games.
It's a machlokes of Thanksgiving.
It's minik Yisrael. You know,
Even the two by the Litvaks
some
also.
of these games, and there's a chelik choshuv that you can buy tickets to NCSY. You can buy tickets.
With the Romans, actually started the gladiators.
Right.
Fighting against alliance.
Which I mean, the Saxorias, right?
Today, baseball game. How strong is that?
It's like Borim Shaltam also. It has a tam. There's a talent in it.
It's not bad, right?
Yeah, it's not a Chazorius. It's Borim Shaltam.
We don't go to dog fights.
Right. Borim Shaltam.
Right.
Now, what does it mean, Borim Shaltam? That it's a talent. It's not Stam Chazorius. It's a talent to throw the ball and to catch it.
I would say.
To throw a ball and to catch it is a chush.
Right.
It's a chush. To kill another animal is not an inyan shalachush. It's Chazorius, especially people killing people. Throw a ball and to catch a ball is a talent. Everyone in America plays ball, and they go much that there are people that are their umness is unbelievable. They want to watch.
They make a lot of money.
Vienna, top.
They enjoy the
People into wrestling.
Some people say they watch the win the basketball championship or whatever. The basketball. It's scary for them. It doesn't make you rich. What do you care about them?
No, nothing. I don't care about somebody else. I never let it.
I heard it. I was next on the other side. Levin was out on the screen, and I had to tell him what happened.
No, he didn't wear a hat.
Huh?
So in the 60s, after Kennedy
Living from
the
Kensington.
hat industry died. There was no hats. So what?
He's a
Now,
very,
if you
very
go to
strict in
Trump has people
catchers.
in
I
the
have
White
to
House,
tell
they
you.
still wear hats. In the 50s, everyone wore hats.
Right.
I don't hear you.
What's the reason why we're happy? Because that's the way
I
you
don't hear you.
covered.
Toby.
Shemai, if you're
Right.
covered like Lamella,
Right, right,
and
right.
you become
Hmm?
so now people say, well,
That means that they're
we're
trying to
yarmulke,
say that
and
place.
that's enough. But that's a big machloek. Some people in the yeshivas world, they have to wear a hat.
Right.
And even in the
But what I was saying before is applies also here. After a lot of these discussions are relevant way back when. Now that there's so many Yidden that are doing it, it's not anymore a discussion.
What?
But then,
Because Yidden are also
but
like
there are even that don't do it. There are
Right.
that wear hats.
yeah, but you can't say it's Chukas Hagoyim now. You can when thousands of Yidden are doing a certain way, even if you hold the Chumrah. Again, we're saying that there's a question. What does Chukah mean? Chukah means that's the way they do it, and they either do differently, or Chukah means they do things that are not rational, makes no sense whatsoever, and therefore Yidden are not allowed to do it. So that's the machloikis. But all opinions will agree that if there's 10,000 or maybe 50,000 Yidden doing also this way, how can you say that it's only Chukas Hagoyim? Only the Goyim are doing it. 50,000
Yeah, but
Yidden
one
are
second.
doing it. 100,000 Yidden are doing it.
So-
So the Yidden in Lakewood are not doing it. But other in Kehilas that are modern Orthodox, that are Shemrei Torah mitzvahs, the people are not Shemrei Torah mitzvahs, you can't count. The people that are Shemrei Torah mitzvahs, you
Okay.
could count.
So
So if all of them are doing, you can't call it Chukas Hagoyim. How could you call it Chukas Hagoyim when Shemrei Torah mitzvahs are doing something? That's what I was saying before about ball game.
50,000.
But I never went to a ball game.
No.
No, I never went to a ball game.
Wow.
It's beyond that. I grew up as a kid. If it wasn't the Lubavitch record player in the Choya, my father called it Goy. You understand?
Oh,
You could only read anything that was printed by Kahos. And even things that were printed by Kahos were a few things my father wouldn't let me read. The going to a ball game was probably considered goyish, goyish, goy.
and now you don't never go to ball game.
Now I don't have time for it.
I ever won.
But I'm saying this is because that there's a few Yidden that they say that but it's from the Yidden that do go to ball games, right?
Azar.
It's from the Yidden that do go to ball games. How can you call it Sagoy?
The ball game, he was there with all his kids.
With who?
Hano Heller. Big author.
Yeah. Is that from the Yidden?
What?
So how can you call it Sagoy?
Where'd you go? Hey, taxi.
I'm not here.
Rabbi, 1 second.
I thought the Hasidim or the early
Thank
Hasidim,
you.
they took after the noblemen with their primals and it's right.
Is there one there?
Entirely possible.
Yeah,
one
that
there.
was better reversal.
One there for me, please.
Good for you.
Yeah, one for me, please.
According to
One for
could
me,
be
please.
early origins
Now.
for the Steimel
Yeah.
is 700 years ago, the nobleman. We're not talking about 700 years ago, the nobleman. We're talking
Oh,
about
this, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
same lady, you say?
yes. We're
So
talking not
imagine
talking
that if somebody 10,000 even start to do something that everybody never did and they asked it or whatever, you're gonna say
then
that now you
yes, I would say yeah. The opinion again, there's a machloikis. Chukas hagoy means only something which makes makes no sense. But even the machmidim that say chukas hagoy means whatever the goyim do, even if it makes a lot of sense. They say the doctor should wear white. No, the Yiddish doctors are going to wear blue. Yeah, even that opinion is going to say. But if all the Yiddish doctors or half the Yiddish doctors are wearing white coats, in other words, even the Gura said no, that the Ramah is wrong. That the Yiddish doctors can't wear white coats, but the Gura would be masking today that a doctor is allowed to wear a white coat. Because when did the Gura talk about? He's talking about in a theoretical case. The doctor came. They just made a thing that all the doctors should wear a white coat. Is that called chukasayim or not? So the Gura says the Ran is wrong, the Ramah is wrong. That's what the Goyim do. You're not allowed to wear a white. Go in there with a purple jacket. Don't wear a white jacket. But the Gura would be masking Bisman Hazeh that there is thousands of Yiddish doctors that are Shemrei Torah mitzvahs and they wear white coats. You can't call it chukasayim anymore. Understand?
So you can adopt something if you capture it. So therefore, a kosher hot dog stand at a ball game, you could adopt their minhag and go to a ball game.
So the Litvice could have a chup.
It's a Yiddish daughter and Takazer. That's why
He's a client.
But
What?
listen, the Get It Eben, Kedushinim thought it was Shas Hashmad. There's another issue, Akas of the Masana, which I glossed over. Maybe we'll do it another time. The second, I'll tell you, wrote two chuvas on this. One about Chukasem and one is Akas of the Masana. This is Akas of the Masana. The Gemara says about if there's Shas Shmad, if they tell the Yidden to shoelaces. I glossed over it today because it's stuck inside. But maybe we'll do it next week.
Was
But,
it?
get it-
Shmad in 1823 and that edict?
The 1843.
1840, whatever. 1840, that was considered a Shabbos.
Well, maybe we'll continue next week. The Get It Rebbe said that was considered Shas Shmad,
But that.
and therefore he felt that he himself had
Tzemach
Mesilas
Tzedek
Nefesh,
didn't.
so it didn't.
Right.
So Matthias himself never changed his begodim. Even his children never changed their begodim. And there were Chshuvei Hasidim never changed their begodim. Even for Mesilas Nefesh, like I told the story in Shabbos or the Vilpach. It doesn't matter what they did. The question was, what was the halacha that they gave out to their communities? The halacha they gave out to the communities was, yes, change your shirt, change your pants, change your jacket. Hulu don't have the payas anymore, whatever. Make it should look not. Some in Kabbalah there's also discussion about that. But the Poel Mamish, if you look at the pictures of Rebbetzin Menucha Rochel's family in Chevron, there's a lot of pictures of them, and they have payas like all the Chassidim. So I think it could be. Oh, so could be they came to Eretz Yisrael and they adapted what other Yidden did. But I'm not so sure. So can sein that even though Pikabolas and Ishtazoy,